India draws nearly 10 million foreign tourists every year, all chasing the promise of ancient temples, golden beaches, and once-in-a-lifetime experiences. But for millions of them, the reality is a very different story. Shimla, Himachal Pradesh. Shimla was once called the Queen of the Hills. The British built their summer capital here, and for decades, it was one of India's most beloved escapes. That reputation is now working against it. In 2024, Himachal Pradesh received 18 million tourists, more than 3 times the number in 2021. Shimla, a city built for a population of 200,000, saw over 20,000 tourists arrive every single day at peak season. The roads collapsed under the pressure. In June 2024 alone, over 630,000 vehicles entered the city in just 24 days, causing gridlocks that stretched for hours. Parking barely exists. The city has space for 4,000 vehicles, and surveys found 80% of tourists struggled to find a spot. The infrastructure simply cannot cope. Shimla generates over 90 metric tons of garbage daily in peak season with no adequate disposal system. Water shortages have become so severe that in previous years, locals stood in line at midnight for buckets of water while hotels advertised unlimited supply to guests. The charm that made Shimla famous, quiet colonial streets, pine forests, cool mountain air, is now buried under noise, crowds, and concrete. Agra, Uttar Pradesh. The Taj Mahal is one of the greatest buildings ever constructed by human hands. There is no debate about that. The debate is about everything surrounding it. Agra is described by experienced travelers as one of the most chaotic and unpleasant cities in India outside its single famous monument. The moment tourists step out of the Taj Mahal gates, they are surrounded by aggressive touts, unlicensed guides with fake IDs, and persistent scammers running everything from gem store commissions to fake taxi services. Wikivoyage, one of the world's most reliable travel references, flatly states, "Besides the 3 World Heritage Sites, the city has little else to recommend it." Pollution in Agra is severe. Thick smog and litter line the roads, and the Yamuna River running behind the Taj carries raw sewage that tourists can smell from the monument's gardens. Over 7 million tourists visit Agra every year. Most experienced travelers recommend spending less than 24 hours there, seeing the Taj and leaving. Summer temperatures regularly exceed 45 degrees Celsius. Scammers are active from the moment you arrive, and taxi drivers routinely lie about hotel closures to redirect tourists to commission-paying guest houses. The Taj Mahal is worth it. Agra itself? Most tourists who spend more than a day there wish they hadn't. Pushkar, Rajasthan. Pushkar is a sacred lake town in Rajasthan and genuinely one of India's more visually striking pilgrimage sites. It is also home to one of the most well-documented tourist scams in the entire country. The moment a foreign visitor approaches the lake, they are targeted by men posing as Brahmin priests. The scam is highly organized. A man approaches offering flowers for a simple prayer ritual. Free, he insists. He leads the tourists to the water's edge, sits them down, and begins chanting. Then the demands start. Priests have asked tourists for donations of $100 per family member. And when refused, some visitors have reported being physically blocked, threatened with police who are allegedly in on the scheme, and aggressively intimidated. Multiple travelers on TripAdvisor and Lonely Planet have described being cornered and unable to leave until they paid. The scam is so notorious that Lonely Planet warns about it by name, and TripAdvisor forums are full of first-hand accounts going back years. One review described men cursing an entire family's children to die after they refused to pay the demanded amount. Pushkar itself is a beautiful town and worth visiting. But the lakeside Ghats have become a hunting ground, and tourists who don't know what's coming are caught off guard every day. Goa, Baga, and Kalangut beaches. Goa built its global reputation on postcard beaches, relaxed nightlife, and a unique Portuguese-Indian culture. The beaches of Baga and Kalangut, the most famous in North Goa, no longer resemble that image in any meaningful way. The Goa State Pollution Control Board's 2024-25 annual report confirmed that both Baga and Kalangute beaches recorded fecal coliform levels between 500 and 1,100 mpn per 100 milliliters, 5 to 11 times the legal safety limit for recreational water. Swimming in these waters carries a genuine health risk. TripAdvisor reviews from foreign visitors describe broken glass in the sand, discarded needles, roaming cows and pigs near the main entrance, and relentless pressure from beach hawkers. One reviewer called it the dirtiest beach I've been to in Southeast Asia. The overcrowding is extreme during peak season. What was once a quiet stretch of sand is now wall-to-wall beach shacks, jet skis, and noise from sunrise to after midnight. Even locals no longer visit Kalangute. A report from Goa's own local newspaper noted that residents haven't set foot on the beach in decades, driven away by the crowds, the litter, and the loss of everything that once made it worth going to. Jaipur, Rajasthan. Jaipur, the Pink City, is one of India's most famous destinations, and also one of its most aggressively scam-ridden. The city's beauty is real. So is the gauntlet tourists have to run to experience it. The gemstone and carpet scam in Jaipur is internationally documented and has been operating for decades. Rickshaw and taxi drivers take tourists to a friend's shop, a gem dealer or carpet seller, where tourists are told they can buy stones at local prices and resell them abroad for massive profit. The gems are worthless, and no international buyer ever materializes. Tourists have reported losing thousands of dollars in a single afternoon. The scam is so embedded that Vienna's own Gemological Institute published a multi-part series warning buyers specifically about Jaipur dealers. Fake government tourist offices near the railway station also sell overpriced tour packages to unsuspecting first-time visitors. Beyond the scams, unofficial guides at monuments claim government approval and charge inflated rates before steering tourists into commission-earning shops. The U.S. travel website Is It Safe to Visit ranked the gemstone scam as the #1 risk in Jaipur in their 2025 safety guide. Jaipur is stunning and absolutely worth visiting, but tourists who arrive without knowing the risks routinely leave significantly poorer than they planned. Manali, Himachal Pradesh. Manali sits at the top of the Kulu Valley in Himachal Pradesh and was once a quiet mountain town that attracted trekkers and backpackers looking for a genuine Himalayan experience. It still attracts millions, and therein lies the problem. During peak season, Manali receives between 4,000 and 5,000 vehicles every single day. The town's main roads, Old Manali Road, Hidimba Road, Log Huts Road, are described by locals and visitors alike as permanent parking lots. Traffic jams on the route to Rohtang Pass, one of the main attractions, regularly stretch for 4 to 6 hours. The waste problem is equally severe. Manali generates up to 70 metric tons of garbage every day at peak season. The town's waste treatment plant has been operating at 5 times its capacity. Tourists arriving from the Kulu-Manali highway are greeted not by mountain scenery, but by towering heaps of garbage at the entrance to the town, a sight that has been photographed and reported on by the Tribune as recently as June 2026. The commercialization has also gutted what made Manali special. Apple orchards have been replaced by multi-story concrete hotels built with no access roads. Adventure tourism operators run paragliding, rafting, and skiing with little to no safety oversight, resulting in frequent accidents. Tourists from abroad, who once came seeking peace in the Himalayan hills, are increasingly leaving disappointed, deterred by the noise, the crowds, and the chaos that now define one of India's most hyped destinations. Kolkata, West Bengal. Kolkata carries a reputation as India's cultural capital, the city of Tagore, Mother Teresa, and the Howrah Bridge. It is also one of the most physically demanding cities in the country to actually visit. The heat and humidity alone are a serious issue for unprepared tourists. In late spring and early summer, temperatures and humidity combine to create conditions that cause heat exhaustion in people not used to them. The monsoon season, from June to September, brings a different problem entirely. In September 2025, Kolkata was hit by 9.9 inches of rain in 24 hours, the heaviest since 1988. Roads flooded to waist-deep levels, vehicles were stranded, flights were canceled, and 12 people died. Tourists caught in the city during those days were trapped in their hotels with no power and no way out. It was the heaviest rainfall the city had seen in nearly 4 decades. Away from the weather, Kolkata's streets are described by international visitors as overwhelming in a way that differs from other Indian cities. One experienced travel writer who had already spent 6 months in India described Kolkata as one of the worst travel experiences of her trip, citing filthy hotel rooms, potholed roads, non-stop noise, and a severe case of food poisoning from a well-reviewed street food stall. Petty theft is common at Howrah and Sealdah stations. The city has genuine cultural depth, but the physical experience of navigating it leaves many tourists wishing they had been better warned. Varanasi, Uttar Pradesh. Varanasi is one of the oldest living cities on earth. Hindus believe that dying here grants immediate liberation from the cycle of rebirth. For tourists who come expecting a spiritual experience, what they find alongside the spirituality often comes as a profound shock. The Ganges River at Varanasi is one of the most polluted bodies of water on the planet. A peer-reviewed study published in April 2024 in the journal Water Practice and Technology confirmed that the river at Varanasi carries fecal coliform levels of up to 100 million mpn per 100 milliliters at the most polluted Ghats. 1 million times the safe bathing threshold. An estimated 200 million liters of untreated sewage flows into the river at Varanasi every single day. The National Green Tribunal has publicly described India's Ganga cleanup efforts as a collective failure. Tourists who visit the famous evening Ganga Aarti ceremony and watch thousands of people bathing in these waters do so without realizing the full picture. On the Ghats themselves, tourists face constant pressure from boat operators who physically block exits unless tips are paid, aggressive fake guides, and touts who trail visitors for hours. The narrow streets behind the Ghats are filled with cow dung, open drains, and piles of uncollected waste. Varanasi is spiritually significant in a way that is genuinely unlike anywhere else on Earth. But the gap between what tourists expect and what they encounter on arrival is one of the widest of any destination in India. Rishikesh, Uttarakhand. Rishikesh is marketed globally as the yoga capital of the world, a mountain town on the Ganges where ashrams, meditation centers, and adventure sports draw visitors from every continent. The marketing has worked so well that it has destroyed the very thing it was selling. The Ganges at Rishikesh is critically polluted with plastic. Scientific research published by the Indian Institute of Science Education and Research confirmed that the Ganges network from Rishikesh downstream is one of the world's most plastic-contaminated river systems, contributing up to 3 billion microplastic particles daily to the Bay of Bengal. Viral videos from Rishikesh have shown visitors from abroad filming locals burying plastic religious waste in the sand at Sai Ghat, while ceremonies are conducted on the same bank. The Ganges here is not the clear mountain river that yoga retreat websites depict in their promotional material. The ashram economy has become almost entirely commercial. Many spiritual retreats charge Western prices for experiences that locals describe as hollow, and overcrowded yoga studios line streets that have little remaining connection to genuine practice. The town's riverbanks are packed with tour operators, cafes, bungee jumping businesses, and souvenir shops. Travelers who arrive looking for the peace and quiet that defined Rishikesh's original reputation routinely leave having found a tourist town that looks like every other tourist town, just with mountains in the background. Kochi, Fort Kochi, Kerala. Kerala markets itself as God's own country, and much of the state genuinely earns that description. Fort Kochi, the historic colonial quarter of Kochi City, is one of Kerala's most visited areas, and one where the tourist experience has been significantly degraded by overcrowding and commercialization. Fort Kochi's narrow lanes, Chinese fishing nets, and colonial-era buildings are undeniably photogenic. They are also now relentlessly commercialized. Every building that was once a family home or local business has been converted into a guest house, art gallery, or overpriced restaurant targeting foreign tourists. Prices for everything, food, accommodation, boat trips, are set at multiples of what locals pay with no transparency. Travel forums consistently flag pushy vendors and unauthorized guides who approach visitors at every turn, offering services that were not requested. The overtourism problem is documented at a state level. Kerala's backwaters, another major draw near Kochi, are facing severe pollution from the houseboat industry, the same boats that appear in every Kerala tourism advertisement. Kerala's own tourism authorities have acknowledged the degradation of key water bodies from unregulated tourism. Fort Kochi is worth a few hours, but tourists who plan an extended stay based on the photography they've seen online frequently discover that the reality is a tightly packed, overpriced enclave that has long since stopped feeling like the authentic Kerala it is sold as. Mumbai Dharvi Slum Tours. Mumbai is India's largest city and one of its most genuinely exciting destinations. The problem is not Mumbai itself. It is one specific type of tourism that has grown within it and that many visitors deeply regret participating in. Dharvi is one of Asia's largest slums, home to an estimated 1 million people across 1 square kilometer in the heart of Mumbai. Over the past 2 decades, commercial tour operators began selling guided walks through Dharavi as a form of poverty tourism, marketing it as an authentic and educational experience. Tens of thousands of tourists take these tours every year. What many don't anticipate is how they will feel mid-tour, walking through the homes and workplaces of people living in genuine hardship while being observed by strangers with cameras. Ethical debates about these tours have been published in The Guardian, the BBC, and academic journals worldwide. Residents of Dharavi have given mixed responses. Some see economic benefit, others describe feeling like exhibits in a human zoo. Multiple tour operators have been accused of providing no meaningful financial benefit to the community while charging premium prices to foreign tourists. Many visitors who take the tour in good faith, believing it will be an educational and culturally enriching experience, return to their hotels profoundly unsettled. It is not a dangerous destination. It is a morally complicated one, and the regret it produces in tourists is of a very different kind from any other entry on this list. Darjeeling, West Bengal. Darjeeling is famous worldwide for its tea, its views of Kanchenjunga, and the UNESCO-listed toy train that winds through the hills. For tourists who arrive without checking the calendar or the forecast, it can also be a logistical nightmare. Landslides are not an occasional risk in Darjeeling. They are a recurring annual event that closes the only main road connecting the hill town to the plains below. National Highway 10 was closed for a total of 21 consecutive days in one recent stretch, trapping tourists who had booked hotels and activities with no way to leave. The Darjeeling Himalayan Railway, the toy train that tourists come specifically to ride, has been halted multiple times as landslides blocked sections of track. Local tourism industry figures estimated that disruptions in a single season cost the regional economy 4 crore rupees in lost income. Hundreds of tourists have been stranded in hotels on unstable slopes, unable to reach the airport. Beyond the landslide risk, Darjeeling's infrastructure is visibly struggling. Traffic jams on the narrow hill roads are severe, waste management is inadequate, and the viewpoints that attract visitors, Tiger Hill for Kanchenjunga at sunrise, are so overcrowded during peak season that the experience bears little resemblance to the quiet, misty landscape in travel photographs. Darjeeling remains a place of genuine beauty, but it is one where the gap between expectation and reality, and the real risk of being stranded, has driven significant tourist regret. Jammu and Kashmir, select areas. Kashmir is one of the most breathtaking landscapes in the world. Snow-covered peaks, Dal Lake, saffron fields, Mughal gardens. The scenery is exceptional, and the hospitality of local people is genuine. It is also a region where, on April 22, 2025, 26 tourists were shot dead in broad daylight. The Pahalgam massacre was the deadliest attack on civilians in India since the 2008 Mumbai bombings. Armed militants entered the Baisaran Valley, a popular tourist meadow accessible only by foot or horseback, and opened fire on visitors. The attackers singled out men and shot them at close range. Tourist arrivals in Kashmir dropped by over 50% in the months that followed. 48 tourist sites were closed by government order. The UK Foreign Office continues to advise that authorities in Jammu and Kashmir can impose and lift curfews and other restrictions frequently and quickly, and warns that the level of consular assistance available to British nationals in the region is severely limited. The U.S. State Department confirms that violence has occurred at tourist hotspots including Srinagar, Gulmarg, and Pahalgam. Kashmir draws millions of visitors who have completely safe and unforgettable experiences every year. But the events of April 2025 demonstrated, in the most devastating way possible, that the risk in this region is not hypothetical. No amount of stunning scenery prepares a tourist for the possibility of an attack on the meadow where they're taking photographs. Delhi. Delhi is India's capital and the entry point for most international tourists visiting the country. It is also one of the most environmentally hostile cities on Earth to actually spend time in. On November 18, 2024, Delhi recorded an air quality index of 795, the worst in 4 years and one of the worst ever recorded anywhere in the world. For context, an AQI above 300 is classified as hazardous. Delhi's reading that day was nearly 3 times that threshold. Between 2022 and 2024, Delhi hospitals recorded 204,758 emergency cases of acute respiratory illness directly linked to air pollution. The city's pollution is worst from October to February, which overlaps directly with India's peak tourist season. Tourists who arrive in winter expecting to explore the Red Fort, India Gate, and Qutub Minar on foot do so while breathing air that doctors compare to smoking multiple cigarettes per hour. Beyond the air, Delhi is the scam capital of India's tourism circuit. The U.S. State Department specifically names Delhi as a location where scams are common at airports, railway stations, major restaurants, and tourist sites. Fake government tourist offices near Connaught Place have been selling overpriced packages to tourists for years. Taxi drivers outside major railway stations routinely claim hotels are closed or flooded, redirecting passengers to commission-paying alternatives. Delhi has extraordinary history and culture, but the combination of health-damaging air and relentless tourist targeting means many visitors spend their time there in discomfort, counting the hours until they can leave. Bodh Gaya, Bihar. Bodh Gaya is the most sacred site in Buddhism, the place where Siddhartha Gautama sat under the Bodhi tree and attained enlightenment over 2,500 years ago. For Buddhist pilgrims from Japan, South Korea, Sri Lanka, Thailand, and across the world, it carries spiritual significance that few places on earth can match. The physical reality of the town surrounding the Mahabodhi temple is something else entirely. Bodh Gaya sits in Bihar, one of India's poorest states. The contrast between the spiritual importance of the site and the conditions surrounding it is stark. The annual municipal budget for Bodh Gaya is smaller than the production budget of a single Bollywood film. Only 250,000 foreign tourists visited the Bodhi tree in 2024, a fraction of what a site of this importance should attract. The infrastructure around the temple is underdeveloped, sanitation is poor, and the town is surrounded by extreme poverty. Research published in 2024 found that 83% of households and tourism businesses in Bodh Gaya rely on groundwater rather than piped supply, despite the town importing water from 150 kilometers away. Begging is heavily concentrated around the Mahabodhi temple, with children and adults approaching every visitor throughout the visit. Volunteers working in the area have publicly called for a beggar-free Bodh Gaya, acknowledging the scale of poverty that confronts visitors at every turn. For Buddhist pilgrims who have spent years saving to make this journey, the experience of arriving at one of their holiest sites and encountering these conditions can be genuinely distressing. Bodh Gaya deserves to be the Vatican of the East. Right now, the gap between what it should be and what it is leaves most international visitors quietly heartbroken. Srinagar, Kashmir. Addressed partly above, see Entry 8 for the Pahalgam context. Srinagar itself, the summer capital of Jammu and Kashmir, sits on the shores of Dal Lake and is genuinely one of the most photogenic cities in Asia. It is also a city where the ground can shift overnight. The internet and mobile blackout that followed the revocation of Article 370 in August 2019 lasted for over a year in parts of Kashmir, trapping tourists with no way to contact home, book onward travel, or access maps. The UK Foreign Office's current travel advice for the region states that restrictions can be imposed frequently and quickly, and warns foreign nationals are especially vulnerable outside main tourist areas. Checkpoints, military convoys, and armed security personnel are a constant presence throughout the city, a reality that many tourists find deeply unsettling, even when the situation is technically stable. Communication blackouts remain possible at any time without warning. After the April 2025 Pahalgam attack, the Indian government closed 48 tourist sites across Kashmir. Tourist numbers dropped by more than 50% compared to the same period in 2024. Srinagar's houseboat owners, shikara operators, hotel staff, and guides, thousands of families who depend entirely on tourism, lost their income overnight. Srinagar is a city of extraordinary beauty, and the vast majority of visits have been completely peaceful. But it is a destination where one unpredictable event can end not just a holiday, but a sense of safety that is very hard to rebuild. Mathura and Vrindavan, Uttar Pradesh. Mathura and Vrindavan are among the holiest cities in Hinduism, the birthplace of Lord Krishna and the site of his childhood. Pilgrims have been visiting for thousands of years. In 2024, those pilgrims share the streets with over 24,000 monkeys. The monkey population in Mathura and Vrindavan has grown to a level that local authorities describe as a crisis. The monkeys are aggressive, and they have learned that tourists carry food, bags, glasses, phones, and wallets, all of which they will take by force if necessary. The news agency of India reported in July 2024 that every day, scores of innocent victims queue up at local government hospitals for anti-rabies shots. Deaths have been recorded. A monk died after falling from a terrace while trying to escape a monkey attack, and a housewife sustained serious head injuries in a similar incident. Hospital supplies of anti-rabies vaccines are regularly described as inadequate to meet demand. The scale of the problem is beyond what local authorities can manage. More than 24,000 monkeys have been counted in the area. Relocation attempts have failed because no other district wants to receive them, and killing them is prohibited under India's Wildlife Protection Act. For pilgrims, especially women and elderly visitors, navigating the ghats and temple lanes requires constant vigilance. Add to this the open drains, heavy pedestrian congestion, and aggressive fake priests running the same donation scam documented in Pushkar. And Mathura and Vrindavan offer a combination of genuine spiritual significance and very real physical danger that catches most tourists completely off guard. Sundarbans, West Bengal. The Sundarbans is the world's largest mangrove forest, a UNESCO World Heritage Site spanning 10,200 square kilometers across the India-Bangladesh border. It is home to over 100 Bengal tigers, estuarine crocodiles, and one of the most dangerous ecosystems on the planet. It is also a place where the danger is not hypothetical. Tiger attacks in the Sundarbans have killed people consistently for decades. Modern estimates from NGOs and activist groups put the death toll at between 10 and 25 people per year, though many attacks go unreported because victims enter restricted zones illegally. Over 3,000 women in the Sundarbans have been widowed by tiger attacks. A number so significant that a dedicated organization, the Sundarbans Tiger Widows Collective, was formed to advocate for their rights. The West Bengal government officially compensates families for deaths caused by wild animals in the reserve. Tourists visit a designated ecotourism zone with managed access, but the forest boundary is not a wall, and the tigers move freely across it. The infrastructure for visitors is minimal, and the remoteness is extreme. There are no roads into much of the forest, only narrow river channels navigated by small boats. During cyclone season, which is frequent and severe, the islands can be cut off entirely. Since 2007, the Sundarbans has been hit by over 15 named cyclones. The mangrove forest itself is gradually shrinking as sea levels rise, pushing both tigers and people into closer contact. Tourists who visit Sundarbans often describe it as one of the most awe-inspiring places they have ever been, and one of the few places in India where they felt the landscape itself could genuinely kill them. Hampi, Karnataka. Hampi is a UNESCO World Heritage Site in Karnataka, a vast landscape of ancient temple ruins, giant boulders, and the Tungabhadra River. It was once the capital of the Vijayanagara Empire, one of the greatest kingdoms in Indian history. It is also a destination that in 2024 saw foreign tourist arrivals collapse by over 80% in a single year. The numbers are stark. In 2023 to 24, 19,838 foreign tourists visited Hampi. By October 2024, only 3,818 had visited in the entire year. The reasons cited by authorities include two major safety incidents near the Sanapur area, a reported sexual assault, and the murder of a foreign traveler. Beyond the safety concerns, Hampi's infrastructure is genuinely inadequate for international tourism. There is no nearby airport. Transport links are unreliable. Sanitation facilities are poor. Information centers are inadequate. The site regularly floods. In 2023, all 33 gates of the Tungabhadra Dam were opened simultaneously, sending water into the UNESCO Heritage Site itself and forcing tourists to be evacuated. Monkeys throughout the ruins are aggressive, and the Tungabhadra River, popular with visitors, has unpredictable depths and strong currents with no lifeguards. The extreme heat makes Hampi physically grueling for much of the year. Temperatures regularly exceed 40 degrees Celsius, and the ruins must be explored on foot across rocky terrain with minimal shade. For travelers who make the significant effort to reach Hampi, long train journeys, difficult onward connections, and find flooded ruins, poor facilities, and an environment where recent violent incidents have shaken international confidence, the sense of regret can be profound. Hampi deserves far better than it currently delivers to the visitors brave enough to make the journey. North Sentinel Island, Andaman, and Nicobar. Every entry on this list involves some level of disappointment, danger, or regret. North Sentinel Island is the only one where attempting to visit could end with your death. North Sentinel Island sits in the Bay of Bengal, roughly the size of Manhattan, covered in dense forest with no roads, no port, and no infrastructure. It is home to the Sentinelese, one of the last truly uncontacted peoples on Earth, believed to have lived in isolation for over 60,000 years. The Indian government has made it completely illegal for anyone to approach within 5 kilometers of the island. The reasons are clear and non-negotiable. In 2006, 2 fishermen whose boat drifted to the shore while they were sleeping were killed by the tribe. In 2018, American missionary John Allen Chow paid local fishermen to take him to the island in an attempt to convert the Sentinelese to Christianity. He was killed with arrows on his first contact. His body was never recovered. In April 2025, a 24-year-old American tourist named Mikhailo Polyakov was arrested after illegally landing on the island. Indian police confirmed he was lucky to have survived without making contact, because if he had, the outcome would almost certainly have been the same as Chow's. The Indian Navy, Coast Guard, and local police conduct regular patrols around North Sentinel to enforce the exclusion zone. violations are prosecuted under multiple laws, including the Andaman and Nicobar Islands Protection of Aboriginal Tribes Regulation of 1956. The government's position is clear. The eland is off-limits permanently, not temporarily. The Sentinelese have made their position equally clear. Across every recorded encounter over more than a century, they have responded to outside contact with bows, arrows, and spears. North Sentinel Island is not a place tourists regret visiting. It is a place that, if you somehow manage to reach it, you may not survive long enough to regret anything at all. India is a country of extraordinary beauty and brutal contradictions. And the places on this list prove that the gap between what tourism promises and what it delivers can be wider than anyone expects. Some of these destinations will improve, most of them won't. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn more beyond belief facts, click on the video appearing on your screen now and remember to hit the subscribe button.